Well, I was just doing a piece to camera and the rod ripped off. You'll see that now. Basically, this is the introduction to the video. I got you late last night. I didn't film much last night. Unfortunately, that's just how it is with me. My working environment is very strenuous, so I'm generally the last one to get you. But so far it's gone well. Let's get into it. Right, so it's just gone 1 o'clock in the morning. Rod ripped off. I didn't get the run on video. Phone was on charge. Got this one on a Tropex pop-up over a simple particle mix. That's not a very big fish, so I'm gonna get this fish back. Hopefully we get a couple of. What? I just cast this rod in. What? I must have landed right in front of that fish. That is, oh no, it came off. Oh no. That was absolute chaos. Did you see that? I'm gonna get this rod wrapped up and get it back out there. That was absolutely insane. Oh, a little bit gutted though. That's the third fish I've lost. Suppose it is what it is. Lux is really not here. Just lost another one.
Oh, come on.
Unfortunately, this meant that I'd lost 5 fish at this point. It's so easy to get despondent after losing a couple. These things happen, unfortunately. Having the right mindset and getting the rods back out could make or break your session. Keep your nerve, push forward. On the bank, anything can happen. Well, there we go, there's the second one of the morning. Very happy with that one, despite its size. Yeah, I'm going to get a couple stills of this one. Very lively. I'm going to get it back in the lake. Got another 2 to show you, so let's get that done. Right, so this is a result of the first run for this morning, or at least on first light. Very, very angry fish, so I'm not going to keep it out too long. This one came on a DC and Tropex, fished over that particle mix, and we're going to show you guys now. There we go, guys. Right, so the mix that I'm using on this session, slightly different to the last time. I'm still using a very cheap mix. This is a high protein pigeon mix, so it's got maize, it's got chickpeas, peas, it's got maples, it's got wheat, a little bit of sorghum in there. It's got all the things that the fish really need. Just like the packet says, high protein, it's got all the necessities in it. Over that I'm fishing that Tropex pop-up, just like you saw in the last session. And yeah, it's working for me. So again, highly recommended. It's working for me here. It'll work for you just about at any venue. Just apply the bait right and you'll catch them. Also, one thing to take note, it is good to prep the stuff properly. You don't want to have it raw or anything like that, so soak it for 24 hours before you boil it, and then after boiling it, just let it sit for the night and it'll be properly prepped. You'll see when it is prepped right, a lot of the maize will start splitting, then you know that it's done. Give it a shot, see how it goes. Right, so there we go. That's the last one of the flurry. It's not the biggest, but definitely the prettiest. I think I need to show you the other side of this too. Let's do that. Right, so there's the other side. I'm sure you'll agree that that's a pretty fish. He's very angry, so I'm not going to keep it out too long. I'm going to just get a couple photos of this, get it back in the water. Right, so the rig presentation that I've opted to use on this session would be a classic Ronnie rig. I'm not going to go into details regarding how to tie this, because this is probably one of the most iconic rigs on the market at the moment. Just about anybody knows this rig. There's a lot of information on YouTube regarding it, so go have a look for yourself. Now, the lead system that I've chosen to use on this session would be a lead clip. Now, for very obvious reasons, I'm fishing quite near snags, reeds and so on, and obviously what I'd like to do is eject that lead the moment the fish takes it, so that the fish comes up in the water and I have more control over it. Also, if the fish does happen to go into the reeds, this would mean that there's no lead dangling around by its mouth if it does get snagged up in the reeds and so on. So there we go, as easy as that. Right, so what I was saying before we got pleasantly interrupted by that run is, when you land a fish, try and retain it, whether it's in a net, whether it's in a sling, for about 15 to 25 minutes. That fish has just fought for its life and it's exhausted. So taking it out for photos and videos and things like that, look, it's all good and well. Generally the fish will go back safe, but it's also good just to practice retaining the fish for 15 to 25 minutes so it can recuperate some of its well needed energy, so that when it goes back into the water, it goes back fit and strong.
It's hard setting up in a storm. Nevertheless, I got myself set up, rods out, not to miss out on the action Darren was having. The night went well, despite the conditions, and by morning, we had a couple to show for our efforts. But first.
And we are second session. Got you last night quite late. Got you in a thunderstorm again, unfortunately, but managed to get the rods out and managed to land some fish. But enough about that. We want to talk about spomming today. It's a very controversial subject in the angling community, but it's something that everyone does. It's something that everyone started with before the fancy gadgets came out, such as bait boats, dinghies. You got your drones at the moment, which are very cool, but unfortunately you can't utilize those on all venues. So when it comes to spomming is it's daunting to a lot of people, because they think if you don't hit the spot you're not fishing, but you are. You know, you got a radius of about 10 meters to spomming. As long as you're getting the feed out there and you're doing it consistently and you're hitting the clip, that's all that matters, and you will produce fish. Another thing we want to talk about is if you're spomming with braid or if you're spomming with mono, and if you obviously where you clipping your rigs up at. So that's another thing I'd like to speak. Darren, what is your thoughts on fishing with mono and clipping up with mono compared to braid?
So first thing that I normally do is if I find where the fish are showing, generally what I'll do is I'll take a lead, cast it to that general area, and I count it down per second.
Okay.
And per second that I count down, I'll reduce the distance of my spom approximately about 1 meter, maybe just shy of 1 meter. This means that when my lead hits the clip and my rig hits the bottom, that drawback that you get on your rig is where you're going to be spomming. So count it down per second, reduce that distance just shy of 1 meter, and that's where you clip your spom as opposed to your rig. If you're going to be spomming with mono and fishing with mono, it'll be more or less the same.
Okay.
If braid on braid, exactly the same. If I'm clipping with mono on my rigs and I'm clipping with braid on my spom, it'll be slightly different. You just got to play around with the distances like that to get it right. It is a little bit tricky, but it depends on the mono that you're using. But generally try and keep it the same. It just makes things so much easier.
Would you pull your rig out if you never hit the clip? Let me ask you that.
Yes, absolutely.
Even if it was direction was perfect and you were maybe 5 meters prior to where you were feeding?
Absolutely. So again, this is another thing that a lot of older anglers will also be very aware of. When you hit the clip, if you hit the clip in the air, it just means that your rig is gonna shoot out.
Okay.
When you don't hit clip and it hits the water before you hit clip, sometimes you'll see when bringing or retrieving your rod in, your rig will actually be tangled, and this doesn't really matter if it's quite a stiff hook link or not. I've seen it where stiff hook links as well will get tangled.
It's not to say that it will happen every time, but the chances of it happening is greater and more vast of it happening.
Absolutely.
If you don't hit the clip.
Definitely. And you know, that could also be the make or break situation, whether you're catching or not. That could be the blank saver cast that you've just made.
Yeah, especially if you're fishing competitively, that could be the fish that counts, you know. So when it comes to angling, you just want to make sure that everything is done perfectly and everything is set for that one opportunity. That's all that we really look for, is that one opportunity, and if you have done everything right, there's no reason as to why you shouldn't land that fish.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And there you have it. Landed this beauty not too long ago. Had one last night, let it go, just the fact it wasn't so big and it was a massive storm. But luckily enough, I landed this again, and same presentation as in the first session. And there we have it. This is what we've produced. Second last fish on my session, and what a beauty. As you guys can see, a two-tone. Couldn't have asked for more from this one. Lovely. Got one more fish to show you. Is the biggest on my session, so I hope you guys like it, but this is most definitely the prettiest fish on my session. And there you have it, guys, the last fish of the session. This is the showstopper for me. Landed this on the same sort of presentation, changed it up a little bit. I ended up changing to a mono setup and ended up landing this, so really stoked about it. Thanks for watching, and thanks for joining the session. See you soon.
Right, so I lost two this morning. Got this absolute stunner, very clean fish. I got one more to show you before I need to pack up and go. It's been a good session. I'm really not going to complain. So let's get a couple stills of this, we'll get it back. There's the last fish for myself. Pretty sure this is the biggest for the session. It doesn't really matter, we've had an absolute cracker. What more can we say? Get the rigs on the spot, hit that clip, spot them accurately, rest the fish, get them back in the water.